Hi everyone, and thank you for joining this standing hips and glutes Pilates session. We're going to be working on exercises that are going to help you to develop a nice, strong, stable and secure seat, which is exactly what you need, whatever you are doing in the saddle. I hope you are pretty much warmed up, ready to go with this one. If not, pause, go and find one of the warm-up sessions and then rejoin in a few minutes. So let's just check your position before you start. Head floating upwards, headlights forwards, equal weight through your feet. And we're going to get going with your hip openers. So you're going to bring one leg up, out and down, and the other leg up, out and down. So as you are doing this, the movement is through your hips, as the name suggests, and your upper body is staying really still. So watch that you're not cheating and twisting. You can modify the range, of course, if you need to accommodate any stiffness you've got in your hips. I appreciate not everyone has got the same movement that I got. You may find that one side is much stiffer than the other. Modify accordingly. Okay, then we're going to go into the reverse. Take the leg out and forwards, out and forwards, still keeping your body really still. Amazingly, people often seem to find this one much harder, even though actually it is the same movement that we do kind of when you're getting into the saddle, but there we go. It's just one for the brain somehow to process differently. Last one, you're not doing it functionally, so the brain's going, I don't understand. Right, feet out nice and wide, and we're going to go into some walking. Again, I want you to keep your body really still, so we're focusing on moving through your arms and legs, from your hips and shoulders. The body is nice and still. Do make sure that you are opposite arms and legs. Lovely job. Okay, that's enough of those. They're not the most exciting once your brain's got the hang of them. Okay, doke. Keep your feet fairly wide. We're going to go into some squats. And I'd really like you to be thinking of keeping your posture in a dressage position for this one. So shoulders over headlights. Let me go sideways. So shoulders over headlights, not tipping forwards. They're both really effective in terms of strengthening your glutes, but much of the time when we're riding, you do want to be upright. So it's good to train to that position. Then you're going onto your toes. So we're just making the balance a little bit harder. Yes, it's bringing your calves as well and your thighs a bit more, but it's still really, really good for those good old glutes. Still keeping your posture, shoulders over headlights. Okie doke. Right, we're going to move on to star lunges. When I planned this, I didn't take account of the nice wet ground. It's been very, very wet here recently. So I'm going to have to make mine quite small, otherwise I'm going to be doing the splits and all sorts of crazy things. You can make yours a little bit bigger than mine. Hands onto your headlights. Shoulders staying over your headlights throughout. You're going to go forwards and up. Diagonal and back. Side and up. Diagonal back and up. And behind you, always onto that bent knee. We're going to go into the reverse. So back onto the bent knee. Diagonal, side, diagonal forwards and forwards onto the other leg, still with shoulders over headlights. So all of this forwards, diagonal is coming side from your hips. Diagonal back, back onto the bent knee, into the reverse, back onto the bent knee, diagonal, side, diagonal forwards, forwards. Super job. Okay, I'm going to walk on the spot. We're going to move on to some rear lunges with a step up. For safety purposes, I'm going to do this all from the side, so my feet are on my mat the whole way through. You're going to go down into a lunge behind you, bring the leg up in front, down behind you, up in front. If you find this really easy, take your hands away from your headlights and whoops, hold some imaginary reins up in front. Remember, my lawn is not flat. It's very good for the balance. So holding imaginary reins, keeping your hands super soft, so no gripping, twisting. Hands are super soft all the way through. And again, try to keep shoulders over headlights. So you're working very hard on your lower body, but your upper body, your contact is independent. Let's go with the other leg. I will stay sideways for safety. Down and up. So exactly the same thing, rear lunge and up. So it's a slightly different rear lunge to the one that you just did in your star lunges, but it works better with this particular pattern of the movement. Still keeping shoulders over your headlights, so your posture's upright, tall, hands independent, so your horse isn't going to be affected down through its mouth by what your legs are doing. 2 more. Good job. Okay, have a little walk on the spot. Bring your heart rate back down again. We're going to move on to some curtsies. Hands onto your headlights for this one. Keep them quite small to begin with. Trying to get your shoulders over your headlights. And you can try and make them a little bit bigger. So bigger step, bigger cross, bigger step, bigger cross. Now the bigger your crossover part, of course, the more your pelvis is going to have to join in a little bit. That's unavoidable. The thing is to somehow try and dissipate that movement through your spine so that your shoulders still stay as level as is physically possible. A couple more each way. It's all about controlling that movement, absorbing that movement, which is exactly what we have to do in the saddle. Right, okie doke. Onto one leg, into your aeroplane. If your balance isn't so great with this one, back up so your lifted foot is against a wall. Arms out to 180 degrees. You're aiming to try and touch the floor with one hand, with the other hand 180 degrees up in the air. Come up and turn and do the same thing. So I caught someone the other day in my Pilates just doing this. That's cheating. You're turning through your body. The arms stay at 180 degrees. Now if you can't touch the floor, don't panic. You can do the same thing in mid-air. That's absolutely fine. Let's talk about how to go on the other foot. Same principle. So you're aiming to touch the floor with each hand, keeping the other one up behind you. If you can't touch the floor, don't panic. Do some mid-air movements instead. This is such a good one. Do one more each way. Such a good one for fine control of your hips on the leg you're standing on. Last one. Lovely job. Okay, bring your legs back down again. Have a little walk. Give your glutes a breather. Up onto one leg. We're going to do your clam. So you're keeping your headlights to the front. If your headlights are turning, then you're using your body to create the movement. We want to create that movement through your hip. So your headlights are forwards. You're moving through your hip to get that position. As you're doing this standing, do try to get your leg out as far as you can go. So when I'm lying down, there's no way I can get my leg to this position. So try and make the most of being stood, getting your leg a little bit further. If you want to add on a few of the extensions, you can, and you can do the whole movement, or you can just stay there and do a few extensions on their own. But again, you're moving from the hip. So your headlights stay forwards. Okie doke, let's swap and go on to the other leg before your glutes give up completely. And exactly the same thing. So you're looking to maximise that movement. Remember, the further the joint goes, the more of your muscle fibres you are working as you do that movement, and therefore the greater the strengthening effect. You do want to be careful, let's add in some extensions if you want to, if you are someone who's very mobile, not necessarily hypermobile, but if you just have a lot of movement, you don't always though want to be taking your body into those end range positions, because they're not particularly functional, particularly if you're thinking about riding. And so you do, whilst it's good, like in this exercise, to move the hip through that full movement, there are other movements where you, like the shoulder bridge, where just because you can go into a big banana shape, that's not going to help you in the saddle, because that's not a functional movement when you're in the saddle. So come down, have a rest. I'm digressing. So just be aware, if you are very, very mobile, you sometimes need to just tailor it down a little bit. Although generally speaking, we do want to be working through a good range of movement. Okie doke. Right, let's do some nice little hip arcs, bit of ballet for you. So again, thinking posture, shoulders stacked over your pelvis. Some nice arcs back and forwards. Again, you're moving from your hip, so your headlights stay forwards, and try to keep yourself turning out from the hip so that you're not turning in. That's not going to use your glutes. You want that turn out through your hip all the way through, because that's going to really use your glutes even more. And you're using your glutes on both sides. Standing leg, they're keeping you upright. Moving leg, they're creating the movement. Let's do one more. Okay, bring that foot in, and we'll go to the other side. Same thing. You may find that one side is just a little bit harder to do. Don't worry, it's normal. Again, keep those headlights forwards. Let's do one last one. Okay, bring your feet into a slightly wide position. We're going to finish off with your side plie with a stretch. So soften your legs into a little gentle squat position, arms to the side, and we're going to get over onto one side, into the trees, and stretch and lengthen your top side. Come back up, and we'll do the same thing. So stretch and lengthen, and come back up. And we'll do one last one. Stretch and lengthen. Back up. We're going to go to the other side. So stretch and lengthen, and up. Stretch and lengthen. Back up. We're going to do one last one. Stretch and lengthen. Bring your arms back down. Bring your feet back underneath you. Have a little walk on the spot. Loosen off through your shoulders. Feet back underneath you. Elastic spine. And we're done. Well done. Some of those are quite hard and they may well have highlighted that you are much weaker or even a little bit weaker on one side, in which case these are exercises that you need to be returning to really regularly. So maybe 2-3 times a week at the moment, possibly this whole session, possibly just those few exercises to help you become much more equal and symmetrical in your saddle. So thank you so much for watching. Look after yourselves. See you very soon. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe.